Let's be real, most modern gamers wouldn't last 5 minutes in the NES era. No checkpoints, no autosaves, no tutorials, holding your hand. You died. Start over. You ran out of lives. Back to the title screen. There was no easy mode, no accessibility options, just raw skill and patience. You had to earn your progress, not patch your way through it. These were games that didn't care about your feelings, they cared about your execution. You either got good or you saw the game over screen so often it got burned into your TV. And if you died on a later level, tough luck. You were starting all the way from the beginning. That's something even the Soulsborne games don't pull, and those are supposed to be the gold standard for hardcore difficulty. Back then, losing all your lives actually meant something. There were consequences. You had to adapt. Either get good and avoid dying altogether, or figure out how to make every single life count. And the bosses? They didn't play fair either. Take the crocodile boss from Peter Pan on PlayStation 1. No clear patterns, no easy tells, nothing predictable for a kid to latch onto. You either learned through sheer trial and error, or you got eaten over and over again. Gamers nowadays are so used to checkpoints that they would not even adjust or adapt to games without them, seeing as games that had no checkpoints, like Comic Zone on the Sega Genesis or Mega Drive if you lived in Europe, that game did not have traditional checkpoints. Back then, games didn't hand out like candy, retries like candy. Some titles give you one life, that's it. You mess up, you're starting over from scratch. Maybe if the developers were feeling merciful, you could earn an extra life after beating a couple of levels, which only let you restart from the start of the stage instead of the whole game. And that wasn't even a real checkpoint system, that was just a tiny bit of pity coded in by developers who knew they were about to wreck you. It wasn't about convenience, it was about discipline. You learned from your mistakes or you didn't make it past level 2. And that's exactly why those old games stick with us, because every victory meant something. When you finally beat that impossible level or crushed that boss after dying 100 times, it felt like an achievement. You earned that ending screen, that high score, that bragging right. It wasn't just about playing, it was about overcoming. Nowadays, a player dies, and 10 seconds later they're back where they left off. Like nothing happened. There's no tension, no stakes, no, oh crap, I can't screw this up. Back then, the fear of losing made you play smarter. You studied enemy patterns, timed your jumps perfectly, memorized every pitfall and trap because you had to. That pressure made you better. It built patience, reflexes, and maybe even a little humility. You learned to respect the game. Modern gaming stripes that away. It's all about accessibility and convenience. But in the process, they took away the thrill of survival. Don't get me wrong, modern games can be amazing, but when everything's designed to keep you comfortable, you lose the raw feeling of accomplishment, that adrenaline rush when you barely scrape by with one life left, and the silver sliver of health blinking red on the screen. So yeah, maybe I sound like a grumpy old gamer yelling at the cloud, but that era built us different. The NES and the early PlayStation days didn't care if you were tired, frustrated, or ready to quit. They demanded you try again. They taught patience, focus, and determination in a way most modern games just don't. And that's fine. Gaming evolves, but sometimes I wish more players today would experience that old school struggle. Not because it was better, but because it mattered. When you finally beat that level after hours of failure, it wasn't luck or checkpoints that saved you, it was you. And that feeling, no amount of DLC or photorealistic graphics can replace that. That's what modern gaming's missing. The struggle, the pain, the frustration, the raw satisfaction that came from finally mastering something that refused to hold your hand. The NES era didn't care who you were, it made you earn every inch of progress, and in return, it gave you a sense of pride no trophy system would ever match. We didn't need achievement popping up on screen. The victory itself was the achievement. So yeah, modern gamers might have prettier graphics, smoother controls, and endless accessibility options, but deep down, they'll never know what it's like to stare at that flickering screen, sweaty palms gripping the controller, knowing this was your last life and there were no second chances. That pressure made legends out of kids. And if you grew up surviving that, congratulations. You didn't just play games, you endured them.